listeners, Advocacy Coordinator Tatum here to say thank you for starting your day with our peerless, trusted Progress Texas podcasts. This critical midterm year, you can invest in the largest digital network for Texas progressives by becoming a monthly member for our summer drive. If you haven't joined or increased your gift yet, you can join today at the link in the show notes, and we'll thank you with union-made merch to match your values, plus a shout out on the Daily Dispatch. Thanks in advance for funding the progressive Texas you want to live in today.
I'm DNC member Andre Triber, and I like Progress Texas because they fight for our future.
It's Friday, July 31st, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. We can't do what we do without your support. Huge thanks to Thomas Green, Joanna Hood, and Rachel Albers for their ongoing sustaining partnership. Just this last Wednesday, we were talking about polls and about how polls are polls and about how that latest poll favoring James Talarico over Ken Paxton does indeed come from a shop founded and run by well-known Austin Democratic player Luke Warford, who also pops up this week, by the way, as he's looking to become the new chair of the Travis County Democratic Party. But I digress. For anyone thinking Luke's political tendencies might have influenced the outcome of that poll, here comes another one from a very different source with a pretty similar outcome. And it's not often we cite Fox News around here, but they've published an extensive new poll conducted by Beacon Research and Shaw & Company Research with all kinds of interesting charts and breakdowns revealing a 51% to 48% lead over Republican Ken Paxton for Democrat James Talarico in the race for the Senate. A bigger 6-point lead for Talarico among highly motivated and interested voters demonstrates a key enthusiasm gap, with Democrats leading by 7 points in voting motivation and 6 points in midterm interest, which could be a precursor for another strong blue turnout, as we've seen in the primaries earlier this year. This Fox News poll shows that Talarico has developed a deep and diverse base spanning demographic, educational, and ideological lines. He captures 87% of black voters, which would seem to support the notion that concerns about Talarico's black electorate support may be largely concentrated among a small but vocal minority of pundits. Talarico polls 68% of independent voters, who are looking to be key in this one more than ever before. And we see significant buyer's remorse among Hispanic voters who went to Donald Trump by 1 point in a major rightward swing in 2024. 60% are behind Talarico in this poll. James Talarico leads among younger voters under 30. He leads among women and college-educated voters and self-described moderates. Another key factor we've been watching is Talarico's appeal across party lines. He secures 24% of non-MAGA Republicans who remain alienated following Ken Paxton's primary win over Senator John Cornyn, as well as 9% of Hispanic Republicans. 98% of Democrats are on board with their nominee, while Paxton holds a less unified but still pretty strong 89% of Republicans, all things considered. Paxton has his strengths here, too. He maintains support among the typical and traditional conservative strongholds: white evangelical Christians, white men without college degrees, rural voters, men in general, and older voters age 65 and up. However, Ken Paxton is finding that his past isn't easy for even the most diehard types to forget or ignore. 59% of all voters, including 36% of Republicans, express concern that Ken Paxton lacks the character to serve as a senator, compared to 47% of voters who view James Talarico as too extremely progressive. On personal favorability, Paxton is underwater at -6, while James Talarico sits in positive territory at +6. And while we're looking under the hood here, Donald Trump's favorability has dropped even further than Ken Paxton's. Trump is currently at -9. Economic pressures by a long shot are driving voter priorities across the board in this poll, with nearly 40% of these respondents calling inflation their primary issue. 35% of Texas voters feel that they are actively falling behind financially, compared to only 16% who feel they're doing well. Good news here for Democratic nominee for governor Gina Hinojosa, too, whom this poll puts a razor-thin 1 single point behind Greg Abbott. And one last interesting tidbit here. This Fox News poll shows that about 9% of voters who plan to vote for Ken Paxton are also planning to vote for Gina Hinojosa for governor, while 12% of James Talarico's backers are planning to vote for Greg Abbott. Strange days indeed. Two takeaways from this poll. One, Texas Democrats are really, truly in the game this time, and they should run the rest of this year like they are 10 points behind. Polls are polls. They are a snapshot in time, and a positive poll should never be an excuse to relax. This poll shows that working as hard as possible over the next 95 days can pay off huge for Texas Democrats. And two, economic woes are complex and difficult to manage. Should Democrats win key races this fall, their work will very much be cut out for them, and the expectations from those who gave them a chance will be very high. We hope that every Democratic candidate running in Texas is as focused on how they plan to do these important jobs as they are in winning them. Again, we don't send you to Fox News just a whole lot, but the rundown of this poll by reporter Victoria Ballara is worth a look. Link is in the show notes. Speaking of John Cornyn, our outgoing senior senator has definitely gotten Donald Trump's attention as he helps block the confirmation of acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche from getting that job officially. It's pretty much assumed that Blanche, should he be confirmed, would bring back that $1.8 billion slush fund Trump wants to set up to bankroll his political allies who find themselves in court. Chris Marquette and Jordan Carney at Politico say Cornyn appears to have set his sights on the exposure of the administrative chaos and executive overreach within Trump's White House as the coda of his 24-year run in the Senate. Trump responded yesterday to Cornyn and Senator Thom Tillis' stonewalling of his chosen lackey by threatening to pull Blanche's nomination and wait out the departure of his foils at the end of the year. But Cornyn so far remains firm and reminds Trump that after the midterms, he could face much greater difficulty than he does right now in the Senate. We've given John Cornyn a lot of crap over the years, but his defiance of Trump, now that there's nothing to lose, is a pretty clear indicator that the emperor has no clothes, as they say. Cornyn is, for the moment anyway, favoring integrity over blind loyalty, something that should be the norm but has become a tricky task in the Trump era for elected Republicans. And Cornyn primary voters should take note of that display of integrity in his last days in the Senate and be assured that Ken Paxton would certainly take the exact opposite course. Finally, this Friday, y'all, Texas Tech, who can't seem to get out of their own way lately. Caitlin Rooney at KAMC TV in Lubbock says that her outfit and other media outlets in the hub city got curious about the details of the agreement Tech entered with the massive data center company Galaxy Digital to rename its football stadium and filed pretty standard open records requests in the matter. All at about the same time, Ken Paxton helped Tech blow up its own efforts to keep a quarterback with a gambling history on their roster after a donation of over $250,000 to Paxton's campaign by Tech Board of Regents chair and oil billionaire Cody Campbell. Well, Texas Tech is back in the news for refusing to comply with those media requests for the executed contract with Galaxy. They've chosen instead to refer that request to Ken Paxton, hoping perhaps the AG will once again intervene on their behalf. Texas open records laws legally and specifically mandate state universities to publicly post all contracts entered into with a private vendor, allowing only narrowly defined and legally required redactions. The statute explicitly requires publishing the full agreement. Substituting a high-level summary, as Tech has offered these media outlets, does not satisfy the law. Texas public university assets belong to Texas taxpayers, and hiding the financial and operational terms of a major public deal with a corporation behind administrative stalling undermines basic and fundamental expectations of accountability. At this point, Texas Tech University is directly violating state transparency statutes by withholding the actual document, and are apparently hoping that Ken Paxton will bail them out. We're watching that one for sure, and we're suddenly curious about what they're so interested in keeping secret. Our In Progress Roundtable show will be on the radio again on Sunday in both Houston and San Marcos. Catch us in Houston on KPFT's HD2 channel, adjacent to 90.1 FM at 11 a.m. And also on Sunday, catch In Progress on KZSM True Community Radio 104.1 FM in San Marcos, Texas. With your support, we hope to continue to expand our radio footprint across the state this year. Click the link in the show notes to make your tax-deductible donation to help us reach new audiences via Texas Radio. This election year, you can support the real free press by investing in pro-democracy, pro-justice, progressive storytelling delivered by Texans for Texans. Join Progress Texas this summer ahead of the midterms and become a monthly donor today, or increase your giving during our summer-sustaining donor drive. With your partnership, we can reach more independents, progressives, and young voters who must be mobilized to win elections this fall. We'll thank you with Perks for Progress, your choice of an exclusive Resist coffee mug, a sweet Progress Texas summer koozie, and a progressive button pack. Plus, you'll get a shout-out on the Daily Dispatch. See the show notes for a link to help us out during our our summer sustaining donor drive. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Friday, July 31st, 2026. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Learn more about what we do and how you can get involved at progresstexas.org. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you again here on Monday morning.